All right, guys, thank you so much for the patience. I'm not gonna lie, it was all my fault. I fucked it up. But listen, we're here live in the flesh. As you guys know, some of PD left recently. I've got some 4 cute stallions in here ready to tell us their story, ready to tell us about their life in this city. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is going to be a spicy podcast / interview. I'm going to play an absolute banger so we can get into this. Love you guys. See you in a second. Wakanda forever.
Guys messaged me saying, hey, by the way, Francis and...
Oh, you here?
I see you guys giving me shit on Twitter, okay? We're going to stop the music. Let's get straight into this, okay,
fuck.
guys?
Yeah, you know what you should do?
Get the phone away, Samuel.
Yeah,
Shut up.
Samuel.
Sorry, bro, I'm just that famous, you know?
Okay, let's get into this, guys, okay? Let's sort this out. Right, this whole interview is going to go from left to right. Shah is going to start, and then we'll go to the right, as I just said. My right, not your right. You got it?
Sir.
I'm your commanding officer. Sir, yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
10-4.
10-4.
Right, okay. Let's get straight into this. So, I'm going to start off first with Shah. Shah, welcome into the studio. Money Afi Make. You've been here before. If you can give us a quick brief of your visa. How did you get accepted into this country / city? Just so we can get to know you guys a bit better. I'm going to go, obviously, as I say, left to right.
I don't actually know how they let me in. What lie to you? But, you know, I had some troubles back home in the UK and heard a lot of things about this place, you know? So I thought I'll get my speedboat, you know, bougie and all that. Hopped over. And, yeah. That's about it.
Come on,
He's an immigrant.
Yeah, pretty much.
Great. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, you know.
That was full of information. Samuel, let me go to you next, my man.
What's up?
How you doing? Tell me about yourself.
I'm right in you. What do you want to know?
I give up, bro. Are you not
Samuel
listening
Art, OG gangbanger, been in PD since January 31st. Remember the day? Exactly. I've been on and off. I think I've left PD like 4 times, but I think recently it's the longest time I've been in PD, and then I left, you know. But I'm an OG, bro. The Oaks know me. High social status, living life, bro. Working at the weed shop now. Bowling.
Good shit. Happy with that.
Yeah.
The main man, Kush, a very, very, I'd say important man in the city. Still don't know how you're verified to this day, but yeah, tell us about yourself. I want to know more about you because I actually haven't got the chance to speak to you. I usually speak to you when I was behind bars, so I want to know.
Yeah. So, I moved here from Aussie land. I used to be an officer back there. And basically what happened is I met Brian at a bar and he told me I should try carry out some justice because they've got similar problems here than what I was used to back home. So I applied, but since I was a new visa, shit like that, none of my certifications and stuff carried through from Aussie land. So I just started as a cadet. I think when I joined, Samuel was a senior officer. I knew Francis's dad, Bruce White, who died tragically, who was also my superior. I got promoted from cadet to officer. Then from officer, I skipped to sergeant, I think 2 weeks into PD. And then after a month in the police department, I think they made me lieutenant with Brian Donovan. We then served another 2-3 months, by which there was massive problems. Again, same reasons why I decided to quit. We went on a strike. The PD fell apart, and within 2 days they brought us back, and then they promoted us to high command. I made sure to recommend Brian for deputy chief. He became deputy chief, and we were pretty much from when we were sergeant, I'd say, till then, we were pretty much running majority of PD alongside with Charles. I think Charles was the main person who, you know, helped us move up the ranks and really fought for us. So I have made respect for him, you know. But that's where I come from.
Nice.
And then then I ended my term as commander. Now I'm unemployed with lots of money. Retired.
You know what? I didn't even know you're Australian, so that's
Yeah.
good to hear. I could hear a bit of an accent, but,
you lose accents the more you spend in Los Santos, you know?
I
if
thought
I'm not mistaken, I used to have quite a bit of a foreign tongue, if I'm not mistaken.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I tripped and fell on my throat, and then you know what I mean.
Oh,
Shit
you see,
happens.
man. You see, you got adopted by the streets of Los Santos, man.
Exactly,
and
my
it
brother.
happens.
Exactly, my brother. So listen, Francis, you're one of my
What's up,
favorite favorite personalities in the city. I absolutely love coming across you. Tell me a
thank you,
bit
thank
about
you.
yourself, my man.
Okay, so my name's Francis. I come from Kazakhstan. I used to live there with my mother. Currently, my mother said that my dad went there on holiday, smashed her, and then they had me. A couple months later, I heard, or a couple of years later, once I was all grown up, like just after I like finished school or whatever, I heard that my dad died in this place, and basically my mom told me, he was actually like pretty rich, and maybe you can go there and get all of his money and then come back. Guess what? I fly here, fucking get past the border. Dad left me, fuck all, the Mexicans stole it. So basically, I was broken. I can't go back. Don't know where my mother is. But yeah, it was
I can
pretty
tell
cool
you.
being back here. I was started off as a cadet like everybody. Kind of quit after about 2 weeks because she was born. Came back because I had nothing to do. Had fun, got all the way up to like officer. Quit again. Then begged my boy Charles, please Charles, can I have another job? It's like, yeah, if you do a whole week without crime. I hit 2 banks, they just didn't catch me. They rehired me a week later. Went all the way up to senior officer, where they said, I got to put in more time, otherwise I'm not going to get promoted. And put in like, a little bit extra time for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, and I was a lieutenant. And then I left because they corrupt.
Fucking hell.
That's who I am today.
You guys probably got sacked for talking so much in PD, my man. Jesus Christ. Listen, let's get this shit on the road, okay, guys? Lovely to hear. I'm glad you guys have come here, so thank you so much. It's obviously nice to actually get to know you guys a bit more, which I'm very, very honored you guys have taken your time out. So let's get down to the nitty gritty, okay? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Obviously, everyone's here to listen. What's happened recently? We just saw badges getting handed in left and right. I'm going to hand this over to Kush. I want to know your side of the story. What's happened here? Why has everyone decided to leave LSPD all of a sudden?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a very deep root cause. Comes down to 3 main things: delusion, hypocrisy, and pretty much ego/arrogance. And the result of these other officers leaving, officers getting fired without notice, is pretty much the consequences of that core issue. And that's why I quit, because I tried my best to fix those issues, try to set up systems as best as I could, implemented majority of what PD uses today, but there's just a gross misunderstanding of how to run a police department right at the top, and there's nothing I can do. So I felt powerless, and that's why I quit. And then these boys got, fired for something, like I said, and it
I
plays
quit.
into one of those 3 things. I won't get into it now since they can tell you why they quit, but yeah, there was what happened after when you saw other people's badges getting handed in. That was pretty much the same kind of decisions that were being made that I had problems with. So yeah,
It was like a
but I'll
domino
get
effect,
into
huh?
it.
So what was the iceberg? What made you hand in your badge and say this is not for me anymore?
So like I said, it was definitely not a quick thing. It was cycles of feeling powerless. There was a large amount of issues that just weren't being addressed. And it came down to like they were knuckling down on things that were not a priority, causing, we're worrying about officers having a xenon light while civilians are getting gunned down in the street. Like, I'm all for making arrests and keeping the city safe, but are you really helping keep a city safe if the way you're arresting people is full of crimes and mismanagement and shit like that? And then are you still doing a good job as the leaders or steering the ship if you're steering it towards worrying about stupid shit, So I tried everything to try focus our efforts, but unfortunately there was just conflicting priorities, and no matter what I did, it was it's their way or the highway. So I said, fine, I'll take the highway. But the iceberg definitely for a lot of the other officers was a bit more tangible. It was a bit of a scandal where there was probably around $13 million of PD budget spent, which is around half of our funds, which we accumulated over 4 months, which is relatively low in comparison to some of the privately owned businesses. And that 13 million was used for 3 vehicles amongst 3 officers in the force for good work done. And I think that drove a lot of the lower ranking officers to freak out and go on strike and that kind of thing. But I wasn't really involved in that. But yeah, that was definitely one of the turning points.
Listen, Kush, that's a lot of money, you know? You said 13 million very casually. A lot of people don't see that kind of money in the city, you know what I mean, my man?
Understand.
So what do you think has happened with these funds, you know?
So 6 million was spent on a Devo for a certain
Head of HR.
officer. Yeah, head of HR. The other, I think 2-3 mil was spent on a Bentley for the commissioner. Some was given to Samuel. I think like 1 mil or something. And this all happened, and the issue is it's not the fact that they had a justifiable reason. It's the fact that this happened behind a closed curtain. For some reason, the deputy chief and I weren't informed. They did it so quickly, you know, casually spending half a budget, where there's about 60, 70 employees. If that was paid out in a bonus for everyone, they could have all got 200k bonus for like 3 months of hard work, you know? And that just went out the window, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think that's, even if you're not joining PD for monetary gain, which I don't recommend anyone do, it's still very frustrating to know that people are trying to justify spending millions of dollars on luxury cars.
Damn, okay, so...
For 3 individuals. Like, what kind of social good does that have? Like, you say people are starving in the streets and shit. Why don't we help set up funds to help them? Like, help startup businesses, things like that. None of that was spoken about behind a, you know, iron curtain. No one knows what's happening.
I see you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask a question that a lot of people would ask. So, for example, let's say a business owner, Babatunde, I have a society fund of 10 mil, and I obviously have a lot of workers underneath me. Me being the business owner, does that not give me a right to the money that that's in the society? Or
yeah, because you own the business, right?
So
it's a privately owned business. But when you are part of providing a public service and you are the commissioner for the people, and you have a team below you, you know, he's not the owner. The dictatorship of the funds should not fall into running it like a private business. We're not there to make money. We're there to delegate budgets which we earn to things that are necessary. We're not there to use it purely for, sure, sometimes we give bonuses and incentives, but those are all there to make officers do better. And spending that money like that is not going to make officers do better jobs. It decentivizes them to do
I
that.
see. Okay, I
You
see.
know?
I want to put it on the table as well. I'm going to be requesting PD come for an interview on Wednesday, because it's obviously only fair. They defend themselves.
100%.
And I want to hear their side of the story too, because you know what I mean. Obviously, stories get twisted and turned. You know what I mean. There's always different sides to a story, but it's obviously good hearing your side of everything. Kush has been answering a lot of the questions, so I'm going to move over to a few boys.
Ahead.
My boy Francis keeps putting his hand up here. Is anything you would like to say?
Okay, listen,
directly, my
Bob.
man?
So there's a difference. Your analogy is a little bit flawed, you see? Because, you know, you own a business, right? And you got workers. Like, are you bringing in, like, all the money? Like, are you making the podcast every single day and they just cleaning toilets? Or are you, are they making all the money and you clean the toilets, you know? They're busy doing the sloppy work, and that's why they get, like, you know, the shit money, you know? They're not going to make as much. In PD, it's the exact opposite. The commissioner and the, you know, chief or whatever, they're going to sit there and they're going to do like HR. They're going to be like, yeah, you can't do this, you can't do this. Spend 20 minutes at parade once a week. That's what they do. You have officers and cadets and senior officers who are busting their balls from fucking 12 in the morning till, you know, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes 3 in the morning. People go crazy, right? And that's where our money's coming from. You know, those people are the people who are catching the main banks, the people who are catching these criminals and fining them, and that money's meant to go into bettering PD. So they're not making the money; they're just choosing to use it and take that money for their self gain. That's where the fuck up comes in. And as long as also they didn't inform anybody about it but themselves, it was like a kind of like a sneaky operation, which is what kind of like pissed me off.
I think that might have been the reason. To be fair, I feel like if it was vocal from the get go, the story might have been different, you know. And I feel like a lot of things would be taken into account, you know, if honesty was there at the end of the day. But
Yeah,
I think,
just transparency, you know.
exactly. Big Kush. I 100% agree. Shah, I wanted to ask you a question, madam, because obviously, you're a female in the PD department.
Oh, talk your shit.
Us criminals have a lot of respect for you. You know what I mean? You give us respect back. So it's only love for you whenever there's anything happening. And I wanted to know a bit more about yourself. How have you find being in PD as a female? I feel like that doesn't get expressed enough. And our queens in the city, man, you guys need to be treated with the utmost respect for some of the stuff you put up with. And yeah, man, I know a lot of gents in the city have so much respect for you ladies, just putting it out there on the table. But I also want to hear your side of things. How have you found it? How did you find this whole situation too? Because I know whenever I spoke to you, you absolutely love being in PD. So I want to hear your side of things.
Boom. So like from the start, it was fine. You know, it was like I think there was only 3 women in PD when I joined. So it was all chilled. And then it started to go a bit downhill. I won't lie to you. Like I was getting disrespected quite a bit. I don't think men have ever seen a woman in uniform before. Let's just put it that way. And they were just acting out a bit. I think the worst part was it was mainly the officers that were like making the comments. I won't lie to you. So like I'd just be chilling PD. I'd be speaking to just like any male officer, and then someone whose name I will not mention, but they know who they are, would come up to people like, "Oh, like be careful. Like she'll probably want to sleep with you and stuff, blah blah blah." Like getting called skank banks and all this stuff by my fellow officers, by the way. And then, like, even on scenes, like, some criminals and hostages would start running their mouths at me. And the only people that stood up were the 3 lovely gentlemen next to me. But everyone else would just turn the other way and, like, just not say shit, really. So I'd be there getting, like, just, like, harassed. I even got pissed on at one point, and no one did anything. So, yeah. I was just getting a bit too annoyed. I raised my concerns. Yeah, like, I raised my concerns, had private conversations with, Commissioner and High Command and people, just saying like you need to fucking do something about this. This is like ridiculous. And they're like, yeah, no worries, we'll do anything. And they didn't do anything. And then the whole thing kicked off with the 13 mil, and that was just like my final straw, really. So yeah, I then went racing. I think everyone went racing. We just didn't want to know. And then we got called into the garage at PD. And he was like, "You on strike? Yes or no?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he went, hand me a new badge, and that was it.
And if you weren't on strike, they said you either go on duty or you don't have a job anymore. So it's like we've never had fixed shift times. Officers ever at their free will. You know, these officers put in the most hours out of most officers in the week, and they pretty much told if they weren't on duty, they're on strike, and they should get fired for that. All of which they got offered their jobs back afterwards, and if that's not saying something, then
it's just why are we all going out there to get shot at constantly, putting our lives at risk all the time, 24/7, to keep the city safe, while these Donnies that are on shift an hour a week, if that, are going out buying themselves nice fancy cars, and I'm not getting bonuses. Like, hello?
Yeah, I think stuff has to be spoken about, and after this interview, I'm really excited to get PD in here and hear their side of things. Because, as I say, we shouldn't be pointing fingers. I see a lot of tweets coming in. We shouldn't be pointing fingers until we hear the full story of everything, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's always 2 sides to a story. So, I'm excited for Wednesday. Samuel, you haven't said much. I wanna.
Yeah, I've been falling asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Listen, you were one of the first people who looked after me in this city. I still remember to this day. You're the man who sorted me out my gun license, which is a very, very funny interaction. So you've been in PD for a long time, man.
Yeah, 8 months.
How has everything gone with you, and how do you feel about this, man? What's your side of everything?
So honestly, the news to me was that whoever was striking is getting fired. And I didn't want to believe it at first. I thought it was a joke. So I went down to PD myself. I went there and I couldn't believe it. He asked me if I was striking. I said yes. And then he said, pass me your badge, hand over your vehicles, and you're gone. So, but the main reason for there was no strike. It was something we talked about. Just me and a few other of the command members. We want to change in PD, and it's a continuous cycle where someone valuable in PD leaves. It's a fuck up, and we're gonna go downhill for a few weeks, and then we're gonna go up back to the average Joe. Nothing worse, nothing better, and then we just sit there again. And then someone valuable will leave in the future, and then we go down again. So obviously something needs to change, a restructure. And the only way we thought of doing that would be a strike, which we didn't implement yet. It was something we're definitely working on, and then we thought that was the only way to get our message across.
I heard Samuel. Sorry, I heard the strike didn't even happen. It was
just shut down, just like
discussed, huh?
Yeah, we were talking about it, and then it was like 30 minutes before the race. So we were just chilling at PD waiting for that, and then went to the race. We came back, and then boom, get fired. Offered me my job back, but not a fuck am I taking it after the way they handled it. So.
Yeah. If I can get one thing straight for the record, just so we can round this off with our position is, money is flashy. It's an easy, relatable issue that a lot of the public will relate to, we can relate to. It's a lot of easy to get upset about, but the money was not the issue. That is like the consequence of the real problems, And what happened was pretty much the issues I was talking about. People are delusional. They think they're doing a great job when they're not. They focus on things like radio. I guarantee you, after all this shit happened, the only thing mentioned in that parade from last Sunday, which is where we discuss our weekly notes, is, guys, just fix your comms up, be professional, and don't be lenient, no reductions, that kind of thing. That's what they will talk about, when the root issues are like this hypocrisy, the failure to acknowledge your wrongs. All the officers that got fired on strike got rehired. Why? Because once there was a proper communication that happened about what happened with those officers, I guarantee you the deputy and the chief talked some sense into everyone, and they agreed that moving forward, they can work something out. And that is a prime example of what I mean is you go, you have one solution. I'm high command here for a long time. We want to discuss it. We want to figure out the way forward. We want our civilians to be happy. We want, a fair but firm system, right? Then someone does something wrong, and the people can't swallow their pride, can't swallow their egos, and, come on duty while we have a plan of attack, the strikes, whatever. For instance, with these officers, the commissioner goes on duty, fires a bunch of people, and you can ask the deputy and chief. They had no idea he was going to fire them. He did it right there while they were still trying to figure out. They had just spoken to the people who were planning to go on strike to try resolve everything without it. Same with the HR. The HR lady said, if you have a problem with the commissioner, you can fuck off, pretty much. Go fly a kite. That's pretty much their position is no, nothing. And their whole thing was like, you don't have the decency to speak to us, then we're going to fire you. But him right there, he made a high command decision without consulting any of the high command because of this unhealthy power dynamic in the high command area. And it's to do with the underlying system. That's the problem. Like, that is why I left. We need to restructure the way in which we implement things, the way in which things get done, There's nothing I could do. I was powerless. I tried everything to get the procedures right, to try to get officers making better decisions. But if at the end of the day, there's a guy who can swing his big dick around and there's nothing you can physically do about it, unfortunately, we have to abide by that. So that's why I left,
I see. Yeah,
you know
what?
No problem.
I'm between all four of you guys, I'm very happy you guys came here and gave us your side of the story. I just want to put it out there, guys. This is not an opportunity for you to slate PD. Without PD, talking to the public here, without PD, this city would not go round. I don't want any abuse towards any officers or anything like that. As I say, a lot of us in city wouldn't be able to do or make a living without PDs. So at the end of the day, we got to have at the end of the day, we got to have respect for them. And I don't want anybody in the public either jumping to conclusions until we hear PD's side of the story on Wednesday. And of course, you know what I mean? Everything does happen for a reason. And as I said before, there are always two sides to a story, which I'm excited to hear.
Can I just also say on that, like, I also agree, like, no one should attack them. A lot of the officers that we were training up were, they know what's right and wrong. and it's not their fault. They have to follow orders, and there's nothing they can do. So don't target any random officer you see on the streets, and there are avenues where we can maybe make change happen. But please, guys, let's not. I don't want to sink to a level where it's about violence and all of that. That's why I'm here with my words. I don't need a gun. If you aren't a gangster without the gun, you aren't a gangster with the gun, you know? So
Amen, bro. Amen.
Yeah.
So,
Well, man.
please.
So much respect for you four. We've had our fun. I'm not gonna say too much because there might be a warrant out for me if I say a lot.
Controversial.
But yeah, man, I'm very, very honored you guys have joined us in the city. In the studio, sorry. And I'm very honored you guys have taken the time to actually come and chat a bit. And as I say, I don't want anybody jumping to conclusions until we have people from PD here on Wednesday to say their side of the story. But I think we bring this to a close because it has been a decent amount of time. I'm sorry to keep everyone waiting at the beginning. I can assure you now there will be no more radio issues or technical issues. We've found out the source. But huge love, man. Thank you so much to you four. Thank you to the city for tuning in. Our next radio session will be on Wednesday. It's going to be at the exact same time.
You're joking.
With no issues. And yeah, man, I appreciate you guys giving the time for this podcast. You guys are absolute legends. I'm going to leave you guys with an absolute banger of a song. This should be the national anthem of the city, if you ask me.